At first glance, it looked like an ordinary farm in rural North Wales. Fields, quiet roads, and a few farm buildings. But in September 2023, police uncovered something shocking there. More than £64 million worth of heroin and cocaine hidden on the property. What investigators later revealed was even more disturbing. The farm wasn't just storing drugs. It was the center of a large international smuggling operation, bringing Class A drugs into the UK from mainland Europe. Their operation would eventually collapse after months of surveillance by investigators. The investigation began earlier in 2023, when detectives from the Northwest Regional Organised Crime Unit began monitoring suspected drug trafficking activity linked to cross-border travel between the UK and mainland Europe. Investigators identified Guy Remington, a businessman from Welsh Bicknor in Herefordshire, as a person of interest. Remington frequently travelled through the Channel Tunnel using a trailer. Between the 3rd of May and 21st of September 2023, he made 9 separate trips to Europe, visiting countries including France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. The journeys raised suspicion. Remington would leave the UK with an empty trailer. Within roughly 24 hours, he would return. Detectives suspected the trailer contained concealed compartments used to hide drugs, but investigators needed proof, so they began quietly watching his movements. As surveillance continued, detectives began to see a pattern emerge. After returning from Europe, Remington would drive directly to a farm in Altammy, near Deeside, North Wales, owned by Luke Hurst. According to investigators, the farm served as the main unloading point for the drugs. The rural location was ideal. It was secluded. It had easy access to the A55 expressway and motorway network, making it perfect for distributing drugs across the UK. Once the drugs arrived, the gang began preparing them for distribution. Hurst would meet buyers nearby, often at service stations or on Pinfold Lane. Instead of giving them the drugs directly, he would take their vehicles back to the farm, load them with drugs, and then return the vehicles so the buyers never knew the exact location of the stash. Detectives soon identified 2 more men connected to the operation. Thomas Smith, a drug dealer from Liverpool, regularly travelled to the farm to collect large quantities of cocaine and heroin for distribution in Merseyside. Meanwhile, Morgan Towner, from Leatherhead in Surrey, acted as a courier transporting drugs to the south of England, using a van with a hidden compartment built specifically to conceal narcotics. By this point, investigators believed the group had already imported between 2 and 3 tons of Class A drugs into the UK, but they needed the right moment to intervene. That moment came in September 2023. Police learned that Guy Remington had left the UK on the 18th of September 2023, travelling once again to mainland Europe. Investigators believed he was returning with another shipment, so officers prepared to intercept the operation when he came back. 2 days later, on the 20th of September 2023, Remington returned to the UK and drove directly to Hurst's farm in Deeside. As he began unloading the trailer, officers moved in. Police raided the farm and arrested Remington at the scene. During the search of the property and the trailer, officers discovered an enormous quantity of drugs, including 505 kilograms of cocaine and 108 kilograms of heroin. As the raid unfolded, police continued searching for other members of the network. Later that same day, Luke Hurst was arrested in the back of a taxi in the nearby town of Mold. Officers also searched several of Remington's business premises. They recovered more than £700,000 in cash, several vehicles, and other high-value assets connected to the operation. But 2 suspects were still at large. Investigators continued analyzing evidence from mobile phones and documents found during the raid. The messages revealed detailed planning and coordination between members of the gang. This evidence led to further arrests. On October 18, 2023, police arrested Thomas Smith at his home on Garraby Drive in Liverpool. During the search of his property, officers seized half a kilogram of cocaine, over 9,800 MDMA tablets, around £16,000 in cash, and a notebook detailing his distribution network. Just days later, on the 26th of October 2023, Morgan Towner was arrested at a property on Station Road in Leatherhead, Surrey. The case was brought before Chester Crown Court. On 2nd of November 2023, all 4 men pleaded guilty to the charges against them. The charges included conspiracy to import Class A drugs and conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. On the 21st of March 2024, the judge delivered the sentences. Guy Remington was sentenced to 18 years imprisonment. Luke Hurst, 12 years imprisonment. Thomas Smith, also 18 years imprisonment. And Morgan Towner, 7 years imprisonment. Together, the gang received a total of 55 years behind bars. What appeared to be a quiet farm in rural Wales was actually the centre of one of the UK's largest drug operations. But after months of surveillance and a carefully timed raid, the entire operation collapsed, and the men behind it will now spend years in prison.